because it's like no. Remember, that's why whenever
Damn.
but I don't know why but I love that meme where where the guy's like face
Oh yeah.
every
He
time
brings a cooler, but instead he just comes. Bro, my game just crashed loading in again, bro. Oh my god, freaking Ark, bro.
Leaks from a variety of different sources, seeming to point towards the fact that there will be a new Zombies exclusive expansion released for Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War Zombies in the near future, with a lot of players pointing towards this DLC, calling it Zombies Chronicles 2. Well, if you've been around in the Zombies community for a few years, and specifically around the time that Treyarch released Call of Duty Black Ops 4, this discussion may seem like a little bit of a case of deja vu, because for a time it seemed very likely that Treyarch would end up releasing Zombies Chronicles 2 for COD Black Ops 4 Zombies, and we know obviously that didn't happen, and the reasons for that were obvious. The reaction to this game was fairly negative from the community, and Treyarch was forced to switch away from its development early to work on Black Ops Cold War. Just recently, thanks to renewed interest and discussion of the topic, pointing to Treyarch revisiting the idea, some new information has been released by a Twitter user that reveals Activision and Treyarch's original plans for Black Ops 4 Zombies, possibly how those original plans for Zombies Chronicles 2 might have carried on into what may very well be the finalized version of the expansion releasing in Black Ops Cold War. Now do note, what you're about to hear is actually probably one of the most interesting zombies stories I've ever read online, and it was written by someone that obviously knows a lot about the COD Zombies mode, news and information about it, things that were happening years ago that not everybody in the public was privy to. Now, if it's completely legit or not, there's no way to independently verify, but looking through this user's Twitter history, it doesn't seem like he's a troll just making things up all the time for no reason, but definitely in the back of your mind, remain very skeptical to what you're about to hear. He begins by saying this: I think it's time that I share some info on what was planned for Call of Duty Black Ops 4, specifically for the Black Ops Pass Season 2. Since the hype of Zombies Chronicles 2 and possibly even a Black Ops 2 remaster have surfaced, but do note that my info comes from around the time of the launch of Black Ops 4 and is outdated. As many know, Call of Duty Black Ops 4 was initially going to contain 6 Chaos storyline maps for Season 1, and then 6 Ether storyline maps in Season 2. However, early on, it was decided that they'd split it half and half, with 2 Chaos storyline maps and 2 Ether maps at launch, followed up by 2 Chaos storyline maps and 2 Ether maps as DLC, which is what we got as the totality of Zombies content in that game. This trend was planned to continue in Black Ops 4's Season 2, which, as a brief aside, at the time this was heavily rumored that Treyarch would do a Year 2 Seasons Pass that would contain more Zombies maps included within it. So first he's going to talk about what the cancelled maps for the Chaos storyline would have been, then talk about the 2 cancelled Ether storyline maps, and then finally talk about what the original version of Zombies Chronicles 2 was supposed to be. Where he continues by saying that Season 2 Seasons Pass would include the final 2 Chaos storyline maps and the final 2 Ether maps for a grand finale. However, Cold War. This shift in production left the finale of the 2 Ether maps of Season 1 to be fit in Zombies Chronicles 2 for Black Ops 4 as well. First, and this is going in depth for those of you that remember the Chaos storyline from Black Ops 4, Treyarch's attempt at a totally new universe for the Zombies mode that they started and never finished in that game, and we have never seen that again. Originally, the storyline was supposed to continue, obviously, in Season 2, but that never happened. he says about what those 2 next Chaos storyline maps would have been, that one map would have followed Diego as a new ragtag crew trying to awaken Scarlet on the island of Antikythera, the island where real-world wonder was discovered. The ancient computer known as the Antikythera mechanism, which is this thing right here. And the second and final map of the Chaos storyline, Chapter 1, is a bit of an oddity, as it would have taken place at the famous Library of Alexandria, but also Atlantis. I genuinely don't know how this would have played out, but I'm sure Medusa would have been the final boss, basically the character that turned out to be the antagonist of the Chaos storyline. Which is all pretty interesting, but to be honest, I was never really interested in the Chaos storyline all that much, and I think the majority of the player base was more interested into what was happening with the main zombies storyline, the Ether storyline. He continues by saying that as for the Ether story, the first would have been a reimagined origins during the Battle of the Great War in 1299. Hermes would
let me tell you about my nose hairs and ear hairs. You can take tweezers and just pick one out at a time.
Would wield the original staves, likely an alternate ending that could be unlocked with Pablo passing a message to Richtofen, allowing the events of Blood of the Dead to occur. The grand finale of the Ether story would have taken place inside the Dark Ether, following Victus immediately after Tag der Tod. Would have been similar to Origins, with Samantha leading Victus through the Hellscape, gathering help from allies from throughout the Ether storyline's history. These allies would have included guys like Gersh, Maxis, Pablo, Peter McCain, and the Mob of the Dead crew, possibly more. The map would have contained enemies from previous maps, but Monty and the Keepers would have been the primary threat, and it likely would have ended with our allies joining Sam in the New World. Now, what he says was originally planned for Zombies Chronicles 2, which would have released after the second Seasons Pass for Black Ops 4 was completed. He said that Zombies Chronicles 2 would have contained 6 reimagined and remastered Ether maps, including Die Rise Remastered, Buried Remastered, 5 as a faithful remaster, meaning exactly as it appeared in the original Black Ops version, Call of the Dead as a faithful remaster, Mob of the Dead as a faithful remaster, and Transit as a reimagined and expanded map. I know some of the celebrities were in talks to reprise their roles, with Danny Trejo and Joe Pantoliano were in talks. That's why Trejo was added to Blackout as an exclusive character there. I don't know how Romero would have been handled in Call of the Dead, as he had passed away by that point, maybe reusing the original dialogue from the first map. But how much of this will actually surface here in the future? He says, unfortunately, I think the 2 Chaos maps and the Dark Ether maps are never going to resurface again, with the original Ether storyline being left in the dust. But Transit, Die Rise, and Buried seems like they're inevitable here in Black Ops Cold War, with those maps being leaked to be likely part of the new DLC. And if Black Ops 2 is
People are wanting Origins to be remastered for Chronicles 2. That would make no sense. It was in Chronicles 1.